So, I found myself grinding strikes, and I rarely find myself grinding strikes. And I kid you not, I've done more strikes in the past week than I have in the past 6 months. Now, why is that? Prolonged engagement. It's a first in a lot of ways, and my aim here, the goal, is to show you who it's for, what to look for, and if the effort you put in is worth it. Because let's be real, we have certified craftable SMGs that are great. Your time could be spent there. Submission, Mida Mini, other great 900s. So it's going to be narrowed down to a couple things, and those things are actually pretty good, really good. It has things no other SMG has, especially 900s. So starting off, Stasis Lightweight, I like that, and that's enough for a lot of people just to go ahead and grind for it. It's obtained from the Vanguard activities as a random drop, so Vanguard Ops. Could be a Nightfall drop. It is a good one. Well, of course, that's perk dependent. It does have PvE and very small PvP capabilities. I would be careful in the Crucible. Like, if I had to rate it, PvE would be like an 8 out of 10. Could be a little bit lower, could be a little bit higher, depending how much you value things. Now, for the Crucible, like a 2 out of 10. But the fact that it's Stasis, what's so nice, like, as we know, or if you didn't know, Stasis is one of the easiest kits in the game to get a lot of builds going. Phantom Might, just easygoing builds. Take Shadebinder, Osmiomancy with Glacial Harvest. You have Behemoth with Crystals, Hunter with Dust Fields. But we have Elemental Shards. Stasis Shards count as Stasis Elemental Wells, so that's 2 energy. And if you don't have the mods, you do now. All mods are available. Elemental Charge, 2 energy. Become charged with light when you pick up a well. Phantom Might, picking up a well matching your subclass, in our case Stasis, grants 25% more damage for that Stasis weapon for 11 seconds. The act of freezing someone, you're charged with light, it's counted as a well, the weapon's doing 25% more damage. Once you pick up that shard, Fonts 25% more damage, damage perks on top add to that. Really easy, really good damage. Like, this one's one for all. Hit 3 separate targets within a short time, deals 35% more damage for 10 seconds. Well, one for all with Phantom Might is 69% more damage than base. Easy to do. That damage perk could be multi-kill clip, surrounded, whatever it is, frenzy. Just run and gun, freeze and go. And then on top of that, you're charged with light. So use anything you want. Maybe Lucent Blade for a sword, Argent Ordnance for a rocket, maybe Firepower, Energy Converter, Protective Light, whatever you want, anything. So that's what's really nice about it being Stasis. And what I really want to drive home, a lot of people compare it to Funnel Web. Same but different. Let's remember Funnel Web came out with the Void 3.0 kit. And we had artifact mods. It was awesome, but to this day, it has a ton of play with volatile rounds within that Void 3.0 kit. You can use Funnel Web on other subclasses because it's a 900 Veist. Neutral roles like Perpetual Motion, Adrenaline Junkie, PvP roles, Killing Wind, Rangefinder. It's gonna work well, but it's always gonna work the best with Void. Prolonged engagement, the exact same thing. You can put together really good neutral PvE roles, you get some decent PvP roles, use it anywhere, but the true calling is with Stasis. But the number one flaw about this thing really makes you take a step back is the base range. It's terrible. Terrible on paper, terrible in the game. It's a weapon that, with us knowing that adding on more range to the actual range stat, it helps those hidden stats like aim assist, accuracy. Well, with this thing, outside of its range, you feel that. At a certain range, once it gets into fall off, it just feels horrible. And I've talked to M&K players, they agree. It shoots marshmallow blanks at times, just feels terrible. The base range stat is 25. That's in the lowest in the entire game category for all weapons. Really low, really bad. Most in this archetype hover around 30. Funnel Web, league of its own, is at 39. And one of the biggest reasons why Funnel Web is one of the most used 900s. Recoil directions at 85, counterbalance mod gets you right up there. But for me personally, when this thing drops, you got to get the range up. Doesn't matter how you do it, just get it up. Full bore even. You can lose some stability to get that range up, but you adding in that plus 15 range, getting it to 40 is just 10 off of doubling the range. It's a big deal for it. Magazine, PvE, you want the mag option or armor piercing rounds. And armor piercing rounds on certain weapons is kind of slept on. This is being one of them. For the Crucible, Ricochet, or High Cal. So at this point, get the range up. It will perform better. It will feel better. Origin trait, Vanguard's Vindication, so final blows give a little bit of health, but most are going to go with Vice Stinger. Pound for pound, one of the best traits in the game. Just at any point, your magazine's going to refill. It's hard to pass it up. So that's kind of considered with these perks. Stasis, Vice Stinger, we have a mega perk pool. I'm not going to go through all the perks, but I do want to talk about some options here. And out of the gate, what I recommend should not be sought after for the Crucible. I mean, if you're a PvP player, I wouldn't just go for this. This isn't like, let's say, yesteryear, Fortissimo out of bounds. Those have a lot of options. It could drop, could be really good for PvP, could be really good for PvE. For this thing, for the Crucible, its range is so low, you kind of need a high range roll just to get a grip back on the mid-range engagements. You do. Sidearms outrange this thing most of the time. Other SMGs, of course, do. Like Funnel Web, Ikelos being craftable, Submission being craftable, it's a tough sell. So for these perks, this mega perk pool, I feel it does come down to rangefinder, preferably Killing Wind rangefinder. But Funnel Web also has that perk combination, and if they were just kitted out the same exact way, Funnel Web outranges it by 4.5 to 5 meters, and that's like a football field in the terms of SMG range. It's a big difference. Usually when Funnel Web starts hitting its fall off or its damage, prolonged engagement is like really struggling to keep accuracy on the target. It's a big deal. You have things like Killing Wind, Encore, where a headshot final blow could be in that plus 30 range added. That's a big deal for it, but I would still go Funnel Web. I would focus out of bounds from Shax, actually, if you're a PvP player. That thing's set up. Moving target, rangefinder, perpetual motion, tap trigger, all of it. It has all the things. It's better for the Crucible. So where I'm getting is you should be going for PvE things. And if a PvP rolls falls to you, great, try it out. More than likely, you're not going to stay with it. And in PvP, it has to land a 5 out of 5. And just grinding for a 5 out of 5 PvP roll, probably not your best interest for this thing. Spend your time elsewhere. It's going to drive you up the wall. PvE though, now we're talking. Like tried and true combinations are here. But I do want to point out a couple perks. Like first, Adagio. If I'm not mistaken, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but like this is the first SMG with Adagio, especially a 900. And it's actually kind of nice because that Veist trait. 900s just rip through ammo, we know that. That's why the Veist trait feels really good on them. You get a kill, Adagio goes up, it's refreshable, damage is up by 30%, and you also get plus 10 range. Like that's why I like it. The added range is huge. The damage feels pretty good because you have on that Veist Stinger trait. It's just like longer sustained damage. And of course, adding on Phantom Might, things like that, is going to make it a lot better. Gets through ammo slower. It's not the best, it's not the worst. The RPM change, damage-wise, it's like a constant Rampage ×1 on a 750. Pretty decent. Now, this roll I actually did kind of like in the Crucible, like a lot. Because the range help, and Adagio got it to 24 per crit. Now, I would have gone for this if its base range was like 35 or 40, similar to Funnel Web. If it was, I would be in there going for it. But with where it's at, I wouldn't. Would not grind strikes for it. If you fall into it, try it. Now, the next perk is Target Lock, and unfortunately, I tried and tried. That's why this review, like, I'm up at midnight the day before this video is going on Friday, so this is Thursday night. This week at Bungie Day. Couldn't get it. I've heard good things, though, like ramping up the damage to 40% more with the Veist Stinger trait. But with its range, it's kind of tough. Ideally, for something like this, you do want 4 times the charm Target Lock, and that's, like, almost insurmountably hard to get. You would have to reset your Vanguard a ton, that way you get more chances for more perks to fall in each node. But keeping that damage on with sustained damage with Target Lock is a good thing. Like with champions, maybe you have anti-barrier or overload SMG. Base level champions are going to be good. Like we see it in some party activities. Every now and again we'll see champions, but something like a Nightfall, higher end, you would want damage on top with that for it to feel good, like Quantum Might. I wish I could test it for the Crucible, and it like kind of feels like it would be more controller player liked. And if you have it on M&K, let us know. And controller, obviously. But all these things you just fall into. Mainly, you're just looking for nice tried and true perk combinations like Subsistence Frenzy. And which, by the way, Subsistence plus the Veist Stinger, so good with flowing perks. Not needing a reload. So Frenzy, one for all, surrounded, just play and go. You get into issues with Subsistence Veist Stinger with a kill trigger that requires a reload, like multi-kill clip, whatever it is. You're gonna have a bad time. Volt Shot. So for me, Subsistence is probably the #1 perk option. We have things like Headstone to pair it with, Frenzy, one for all, surrounded. And Feeding Frenzy is gonna be good too. Perfect float Frenzy, less flinch, more damage, just works. And again, it will work neutrally on any sub or any character. A Veist 900 in that slot is a good thing anywhere you go. But with it being stasis, the things you can do with your shards, the stasis kits, aspects, fragments, that's the true calling. Keep that in mind when this thing drops. It does have Headstone. It's a pseudo dragonfly for groups. Crystals pair with the aspects and fragments. All around, this is a good one. It really is. But the whole idea, get your rank up so you have double and triple perks falling, more options, look for range. And that's my overall issue with this thing. PvP is a huge issue, so much that not even touching it there. As fun and as good as Adagio is, adding the plus 10 range, it's not enough. And in PvE, it's so tangible. The more range that you add to this thing, the better it's going to perform, period. All around, hit detection, stickiness, feel, bullet bend, everything just better. So do that. It should get a lot of play if the roll lands. The best I have Feeding Frenzy surrounded. Again, tried and true. it does well. I have a headstone roll, bunch of other rolls, but my 2 favorites, I have 4 times a charm, 1 for all. Every now and again, I'll get 1 for all with Font of Might. I'll get right on a yellow bar with Vice Stinger 4 time with that damage. It does well. And then heating up Adagio, getting the range up, getting accuracy up, getting stability up. Both perks require a kill, so it just flows well for PvE and the Crucible. You're at the fate of RNG, that always sucks. Utilize stasis if applicable. If not, tried and true rolls. I think it's really good. I don't think you should necessarily go chasing. Just play, let them fall, check them out, make them work. If you're new here, remember to hit the subscribe button. And if you are subscribed, thank you so much for your support. Let's talk about prolonged engagement down below. What are your thoughts on this thing? What roles do you like? How's it performing for you in PvE? And if you're using it in the Crucible, what do you think about it there? Thank you for watching, and until the next one, I am CoolGuy.